What is up, my lovely DDD fam? It's your boy Brendan, aka Drip, back with another deck profiling video. And today's video is yet again another Tier 0 deck profile. I know some people are probably getting kind of salty about the fact that most of my videos here lately have been about this deck. I apologize about that. If you couldn't already tell, we're in a very stale state of a format. Like, so what I mean by that is like everything's mainstreamed and there's not much else there's not much wiggle room to be played, like deck wise, because unless you're just hard countering this. But even then, even if you're running those decks, you're running an engine that's in a lot of other decks, as in the Bestials or some other form of anti-tier, to where the decks kind of get repetitive at that point. But also, I love this deck so much. I've showcased different versions of this deck. I've showcased the future versions of this deck if it goes left unchecked with the Kastira. But with the support that we have now, this version that I'm bringing you now is by far my favorite version of the deck. I had the idea of making this version of the deck for a while. I just didn't have access to the cards for the physical deck profile in the Spright cards, as in blue. So now that I have access to blue, because I was able to get it off of a friend at one of my second locals, not my first locals, but my second one, I decided to sit down and kind of put the deck together. And I tell you right now, the Spright cards tie this deck all together. I don't know, the deck didn't really have much going wrong with it or anything going wrong with it before. It just, the Spright cards take the ceiling and raise it even further, which is kind of sounds crazy to even think about. And it also helps you play around and through so much and push in for game in other situations too. Yeah, this past week at my first locals that I normally go to, I went undefeated with this, and I tell you right now, I would not have went undefeated if it was not for the Spright cards. My first locals indirectly is anti-tier. I'm like the only tier player there. There's one other tier player there, but he doesn't get the privilege to come down that much. So it's just me and a bunch of anti-tier decks. And what I mean by anti-tier is Exo Stepsister. It's Exo Sister, but me and my friends call it Exo Stepsister. Bird Flu, stuff like that. There's just anti-tier, and it's hard for tier and bestials to really compete with. But even though this list does not have bestials, I will mention, if you want to run bestials, what to take out and stuff like that, if you want to run bestials. But even with this list, I think this list, even without bestials, you could take to a regional and do perfectly fine, or at a higher level event and do just fine. But my matchups, obviously, this past weekend were, I played one bird. I won 2-1 on that. And then I played Exo Sister. I won 2-0 on that. Played Drytron, 2-0. That, shout outs to you. You're a really cool dude, bro. Hope you come down more often. It was nice to actually play against Drytron, a breath of fresh air, because when you're in a tier 0 format, you're just, for the most part, what you're going to play against. And then in the finals, oddly enough, not to take nothing away from the guy or take nothing away from the deck, but I was not expecting to play against this deck in the finals. In the finals, I played against Dark Magician of all decks. I was not expecting to play against Dark Magician. And it wasn't even like Sam's list, who has the Bestial Dark Magician. It was straight up OG, like Magician Navigation, a Princess Illusion Magician, Oracle Mana type Dark Magician. And I played, I think he was 3-1 or whatever. And I played him in the finals. It was just kind of crazy. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this deck profile. A lot of it's going to be kind of mainstream and straightforward. 3 of my best girl. I love her. She's my favorite Tearlaments. Merly, Havness, and then 2. 2 is the perfect number. I finally got access to my second one through my boy Jeremy. 2 is the perfect number. You don't need 3. 3 clogs. You only need the second one for the follow-up, or when you have to use his grave effect to summon him back, because he dodges bestials. You don't like really want to hard normal summon this card, because if you hard normal summon this card, it hard loses to bestials. So you never really want to hard normal this. It's just while this card's in the grave, it dodges bestials, so it works out in that regard. Because if you hard normal summon this and you send the card, you hard neg, in my personal opinion, if you just get hit by a bestial. So, no, 3 is not necessary. I'm be doing the deck profile in engines, obviously. 3 Keldo, 3 Medora, 3 Kelbeck, and I do play the 1 Agito for the going first, like Monster Reborn line. If you open Keldo and Kelbeck, this is one of the places where, actually, I'll save that for the end. I'll save it for the end. Sorry. I'll save it for the end when I'm talking about for Bestials, because you need to see what else I'm running in order to know what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, and to round it up for the fairies, I do play the 1 Orange Light because I do play Baron and I need a tuner, and I'm not playing Herald anymore. Diviner, rather. Sorry. And then for the Spright lineup, 1 red, 1 blue, 1 jet, 1 smashers. This is all you need. This is all you need. Why? Because unlike regular Spright, you can recycle every single one of these cards with our Ishizu cards. There's nothing more more broken and unfair than using a Ishizu cards to shuffle these 2 back plus your opponent's, and then just using your elf if you already have like tier plays on your next turn to summon this search blue, I mean jet, and then get jet, and then get your smashers back. It makes your smashers to where you basically have 2 or 3 in your deck, even though you only run 1, because you could just constantly keep recycling it. So yeah, it's really nasty in that regard. It's really gross. It come up a couple of times, but I didn't get a chance to use it a second time because I just ended the game. I just searched it for follow up just in case, because you never know what your opponent has. But no, I want to talk about this engine real quick. This engine, like the reason why this engine is so good in this deck, because these are not bricks. The only pseudo bricks are these 2. And the only reason that red is even a brick is if you don't have access to a Merly and it's hard to get to a Merly and you open too many spells and traps of Tearlaments, but you didn't open no monster names. Even if you open Smashers, you're still fine, because if you open combo, you can find a way to get to it with your normal standard combo route to get to Gigantic, and then Gigantic gets you access to your level 2 plays, because you just do your level 2 plays at the end of your combo, if that makes sense. Because the only thing that locks you in this entire deck is the Gigantic. Nothing else locks you into level 2s. So it's fine. And then, like I said, this helps you push through. Sometimes it can help you push through Shifter. It helps you push through Dweller. Definitely Dweller, because before the deck hard loses Dweller, but now that you play the Sprite package, you can just go straight Sprite combo and then set up from next turn too. So like if you indirectly get you have the trap or whatever, you can like go the trap, the trap is Solik or whatever, and then set up normal summon a like Merly, go Sprite combo, and then sit on the Merly or link it off and just bring it back with Elf, and then you have basically the ability to go tier combo on their turn. So moral of the story is this helps you push through a lot. It helps you push through games, and I absolutely love it, and I'm so happy I added it in. Like it also raises the aggressiveness of like your sprint and your elf, and makes them like more impactful. 3 Pearl 1 terraforming, very standard. Can't play the deck without it. It provides too much. This card single handedly saved my ass last night. It helped me kill a Necro Valley before I got Necro Valley, basically. Drop Scream to 1. It sucks going second, even though I'm absolutely in love with this card. I love running this card in multiples. I like seeing it. I love having it because I like milling it too, but there's just no room for it, and I didn't want to run any more bricks. I wanted to make everything as snug as possible. Then I run the 1 Heartbeat still. I don't know why people are cutting this when everybody's running Macrocosmos and D-Fisher. Like, it makes no sense to me. And on top, and Necro Valley and everything else too. I don't understand why people are cutting it and putting it in the side. Like, if you're going to put it in the side, there's just no point of running it. Really. My personal opinion. But milling this is really nice too because it adds back to your traps. It just makes more of your mills impactful. And what I want to do with every single card in this deck, if I can, is make my mills impactful. And like even your Spright cards are impactful because it just makes your elf like huge, like OP. Because if you use all your names, you don't need, or if you couldn't find a way to get your orange light engrave, it makes it to where you can just bring back the Spright cards off of elf instead of having to bring back useless tier names or not getting the utility on your turn and having to wait for their turn to use elf, where you can use elf twice. You can use them on your turn and they can use them theirs. Because since I'm not running diviner, it's kind of harder to get access to your Baron line unless you mill your orange light, or if you actually open enough level twos, you can get to the elf Sprind, and then Sprind can mill your orange light, and then you can resurrect it with elf, and then go off from there. So like that's another thing that your level twos provide that's just really nasty. But no, Heartbeat is just really nice. It helps you push through like stupid floodgates. But I play 3 Droplet. Droplet right here is the card. These three. Let's see. These three. This is what I was wanting to talk about. These three is what. And if you don't have Baron, even though I think you should keep the Baron line, I think the Baron line is necessary. These 4, potentially 5, as in the orange light, but like I said, I wouldn't cut the orange light because 1, you gotta play around Shifter and it helps you. 2, the Baron line helps you play around Super Poly, even though I know a lot of people are not running it. There are some people that still run Super Poly, and you want to play around as much as you can. And Baron helps you push for game because it helps you push through boards and break boards, definitely in kind of a pseudo semi simplified game state. But moral story, these 4 right here are the ones that you could swap out for Bestials. So you just run 2 Magnemut and 2 Druid Worm, or 1 Magnemut and 3 Druid Worm, because indirectly Druid Worm's better in this deck because it helps you push some breakthrough boards, as where not dark, but basically dark. Magnemut, aka Pizza Hut, is a dark target, and since everybody's running Bestials anyways, if you ever find yourself needing another Magnemut, you could just use dark to bring theirs back and plus really hard. But I know if you're just not wanting to clog on names, you can just run 2 and 2. But either or, 2 and 2 or Druid Worm, and 3 Druid Worm and 1 Magnemut, and then you can just side other names if necessary. Side a different like bestial names. But yeah, 3 Droplet right now because it's like locals play wise. 2 of 1 card like combos. Instant Fusion and Foolish Burial. I literally don't understand why no one runs this card. This card is absolutely disgusting and has saved my ass so much. This card is a tier name. It is a Bestial, or if you ever need a Bestial for a different attribute to Foolish, well, I don't know why you ever would, but, or this is a Keldo, a Kelback, a Guido, aka Mill 5 more. Shuffle 3 back, as in Keldo or Medora. This is literally anything in your entire deck. This could be a level 2. If you could Foolish a blue, use Elf, bring it back. Guess what? You're in full Spright combo now. PogChamp. I don't understand why people don't run it. Then 3 Imperm. The reason why I said you could probably cut the droplets is because I main 3 Imperm. Imperm is just too impactful this meta. My personal opinion. A lot of people say it's mid or not mid at all. It's just bad. I find that incorrect because in the bird matchup, this just does a lot for you. And the only matchup that it's pseudo like mid is Exosister, because it's just awkward to where you either have to hold it too long, or you hit them and they just don't go super. They don't plus as hard, but they still end on full combo basically. But other than that, against birds, it's highly impactful. Against a Sword Soul who's making another Arise is very impactful because since no one's really quote unquote running Imperm, they cut the circle, the Dragon Circle, which means they have no real way to dodge Imperm now. They're just relying on their Bestials to kind of help get them there. And since they don't play Shatana in the circle and all that, so this can hurt them. And in the mirror match,
100% disagree with what everybody says about this card in the mirror match. If you hold this card until the Kit Kalos, it forces him to go like kind of neg, and they end on a lackluster board. The reason why is because if you wait for the Kit Kalos, you just hit the Kit Kalos. They don't get the ad, and they can't get the dump. So the only real way, like they would have to open multiple names or scream in order to constantly get the mills, or force themselves to use the Kelbeck or a Guido to mill 5. And then if they do that, you're milling 5 as well, which means you could hit names or shufflebacks, which forces them to go super neg because they don't get the ad and or the foolish off of Kit, and they can't get the mill 5 off of Kit either because you impermed it. They have to find another way to get off board. And that is super impactful, and it just completely just hinders their entire combo, in my personal opinion. So yeah, no, that card is absolutely cracked. And then I run 2 Solic. I don't run Crime. Crime is bad this format, but next format, when Kashira takes over, um, Crime will be necessary because of Unicorn. But right now, I'll run 2 Solic because it's a way better mill. And like I said, and I mentioned before, is I want all my mills to be high impact. I want everything to be high impact. And on top of that, Tearlament loses when it runs out of names, and it simplifies the game state as like normal Yu-Gi-Oh does when it unfills the hand and you don't have no names and you get in a top deck situation. As of where Solic always refills the hand. And it's also really nice too. It's not even that bad, honestly, if you draw both or you get access to both because you use one, and then if you just open cracked and you don't need to use your Pellerino to pop their cards, you can just use Pellerino to pop your second one and add follow up to for the crackback if you need to, just to completely just like flex your ass off when you're pushing for game. So it's really nice for that too. And now for the extra deck. One elf, one sprint, one dark. These are very standard, very necessary. These two were stupid impactful. Now we run the Spright cards. This is nasty. Definitely in the Spright mirror. When you're playing pure Spright, you just use this. Grab their dark, use their dark effect. I mean their blue effect. Go search jet. Add whatever. I mean add the whatchamacallit smashers. It's very impactful. And then if you did run the Bestials too, then this will be even more impactful. So basically, if you ran the Bestials, the 4 Bestials, every single one of these would be absolutely cracked, to be honest, because at that point you'll basically be running based, but it's fine. If I took this to event, that's probably what I would run. I would cut the 4 cards that I mentioned. Fusions, I run 2 kit because the second kit comes up for me, and you need to get used to running 2 kit anyways when Cashier takes over. Since I'm not running crime in the main or the side, I want to run a second kit because this is the main thing that keeps this deck running. Even though you don't necessarily need it as much now that you're running the Spright engine, because for an example, I was playing against my buddy Steel. He he's a douchebag. I love you, buddy. He's a douchebag, but he hit me with cherries and he declared kit, so I lost both my kits and I had to rely on my Spright engine to get me the dub, which was it was very scary because it was the first time I lost both of my kits before, and had no way to really recur it. But since you're not, like I said before, since you're not running crime, the second kit is kind of mandatory. Um, like I said, just crime is just not as impactful yet, but when Kashir takes over, it will be. One rule, one Kaleido, one Durgastapelia, one Mud, one Garua. That's it for the fusions. Xyz, Dweller, Baguska, Crack. That card is disgusting. One Gigantic, one Zeus. That's it for the XZs. Every single one of these XZs put in absolute work. Not much need to be said. Even though I haven't really made Zeus in a while, you can't get away with not running it because in the grindy matches / the rogue matchups, you kind of need it. And the last card is obviously Baron. Baron is Baron. Baron's really good because one, it helps you play around Super Poly, and it's a pop. If you go first and you make if you go the line where you make Dweller, you don't really want to end on Rule Kalos. A lot of times too, a lot of other tier players, I don't understand why they do it. A lot of tier players will just hard make Rule Kalos, Like, I don't understand why they make hard Rukalis, because Rukalis is not like just a straight up Omni negate. Her negate is very situational. I'd rather push for Baron and make Dweller and then make Rule, because for multiple situations. One, like I said, you don't know if Rule's even going to be impactful against the deck you're playing. Two, you're playing directly into Super Poly, and I know the odds of them having it is not as high as it is if they wouldn't have it. But you just want to train yourself to play around as much as possible, and Baron is more impactful, because on top of that, even if you use Baron's negate during your next standby phase, if you don't shuffle the Rule back, you just use Baron to target the Rule to summon it back from a deck, and then just shuffle this back, and you can even make this again with Elf by bringing back the Orange Light if you need to. So yeah, there's that. Side deck. Since this is a tournament deck, I'll show you the side. Dark Ruler. You have to play Dark Ruler because you have to respect Spright. Evenly matched. I know this kind of seems kind of like stupid because we run Havness and stuff like that. So it kind of seems like, or the Bestials if we ran the Bestials, because it indirectly makes evenly worse, if that makes sense. But you're non-guaranteed to hit something off of Havness every time. And this is too impactful not to run it, because against birds, it banishes their stuff, but it banishes them face down so where they can't get their stuff back, and you just win the grind game. This is a good against combo. It's good against tier. It's good against Spright. It's good against back row decks. It's good against everything. There's this, like, another thing too. There's a situation where, which this is not the first time it happened. It happens to me a lot because I have bad luck. I used Havness while having this in hand. I didn't mill nothing. I waffed my mill and um came back to my turn. I just put my Havness in attack position, attacked. Well, I actually Dark Ruler because I drew Dark Ruler for turn. It was kind of gross, honestly. I had drew Dark Ruler for turn. I went to main phase, Dark Ruler, battle phase, crashed my Havness into a monster. It died, and then at the end of battle, I used evenly. So there are situations like that that comes up. On top of that, if you use Havness, and even if you did hit something, a lot of decks will burn extra resources and overextend in order to deal with whatever you make. So even if they do deal with it, they have to burn so many resources to get out of it. And then if they do out it, then you just sitting on it evenly in hand to completely crack the rest of their board, and then simplify the game state before you have even played yet. So evenly is just too impactful for that. And then one Duster's Duster, nothing you said. Two Twin for the back row dumb shit. Lightning Storm for the back row dumb shit, and Bird Flu because they can't put none of their stuff in defense distance, so you just win. Two Nibiru for Rogue and for Exo Stepsister. Just says no. Because they basically overextend every time. And then Scattershot, and then Red Resonator. The reason why I run both, I know this could be different stuff. The reason why I run both is because if I'm playing against Spright or another deck where I have to use Dark Ruler, you can go the Red Resonator route, because Red Resonator doesn't burn and you gain health. So basically, you Dark Ruler them, play, and then you get access to Resonator, and then reborn back with Elf, and then just you gain life, so you win in time, so you cheese your way to victory because the time rules suck. That's it for the main deck, extra deck, side deck, yada yada yada. I really enjoy this deck. I really think until Cashier comes out, this is the best version. The best way to play the deck is with the Spright engine. Like I said before, if you wanted to play Bestials, you could play them. If you wanted to play more Bestials, like play like Sarnier on the side or something, to basically run 6, you could just, you could really just, you could drop the Resonator if you wanted to, because it's very situational. You could drop the Nibs if you wanted to. So this right here could basically be 2 Sarnier, and if you did the 3 Druis and 1 Magnemut, like this could be the other Magnemut and the 2 Sarnier to basically give you a 7 bestial total head count, or whatever. If you're worried about whatchamacallit, you can keep this and just drop 1 evenly, run 2, but I really think 3 is impactful because all my side deck is really high impact. All of them are very good 6 draws besides Nib. Nib is terrible, and every time I side it, I only see it as my 6th draw, and it's very frustrating. But that's it for my deck, my main extra side and everything else, like I said before. But I hope you enjoyed the deck, guys. So please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Please, please, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We're so at the time of recording this video, we're so close to 1,300. It makes me nauseous. I want to get there so bad. I want to keep growing. I really, for my New Year's resolution, I really want to get over 2,500 before the end of the year. So I can only get there with the love and the support and help of the DDD fam, pushing the videos out, telling their friends, doing all that. So please do that if you don't mind. Also, check out the description below for all the ways to support me: Patreon, Discord server, the PayPal, merch stores down there as well. You can go and get you some DDD merch. Patreon, all that's down there below in the description. But I'd greatly appreciate if you all check that out. I love you so much for it. But with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed the video, enjoyed the deck profile. I hope you all have a wonderful night, morning, evening, whenever you're watching this video. I hope you all are staying safe out there in the age of COVID. It's your boy, Brendan, aka Drip, signing out until next time. Peace. Good dueling, my guys.